Okay, so welcome back to part 2 of the racing highlights from the Scottish Classic Club's Round 1 event here at Strathaven. So in this next race here, we've got a combination of pre-1977s, over and under 40s and over 50s, and we've also got some 125s thrown in for good measure as well. So basically this is about 4 or 5 different classes in this one race, so certainly not an easy one to keep tabs on who's racing in what particular class, but I'm pretty sure that our superb lap scorers will sort them all out into their individual classes as they cross the finish line. So there's certainly a big variety of different types of motorcycles in this race, between the small 125s right up to those big single cylinder 5 or even 600 4-stroke machines. So as the riders leave the line, it looks like Liston Bell has made another good start on that big single cylinder Jawa machine. So as you can see, there's quite a big stack of motorcycles in this race, so I'm not going to even try to decipher all the different positions for the different classes, so we'll just take a look at some of the riders. So it's still Liston Bell there at the front, being pursued by number 416, that's Mike McClurty on that little 125 Honda. So there's our first combination of different types of bikes, between Liston Bell riding the big single cylinder 4-stroke Jawa and that little nimble 125 Honda of Mike McClurty's. Number 254 just going through there is John Miller on his 250 Honda. Number 200 is Albert Britton. As we take a look at number 60 there, that's Ewan Allen on his CZ 2-stroke bike. But here at the front, it's still the battle between Liston Bell and Mike McClurty on the 125 Honda. Both of these riders, of course, are riding in completely different classes, but certainly Mike McClurty's still managing to keep pace with that big single-cylinder Jawa machine of Liston Bell. So this is quite a good little scrap going on here between these far... Whoops! The curse of the commentators is struck again, so looks like Mike McClurty's lost that back wheel going into the turn, but looks like everything's good and he's back up and running once again. As we take a look at number 89, that's Liston Bell's dad. That's Mike Bell riding that lovely BSA Gold Star. But certainly Mike's son Liston is doing very well here at the front. He seems to be out there on his own now. Mike McClurty is still managed to keep that second place, although, as I said, running in a different class, and just behind Mike McClurty it looks like that could be number 29. That's Derek McCauley on the Spanish 250 Bultaco Persang, another quick and nimble little 2-stroke machine. So we're just taking a look at some of the other riders as they come round to complete another lap. Number 200 at the front there, that's Albert Britton. Number 57 is Martin Jackson on that little Suzuki, and number 601 there is Philip Witham riding that CR250 Honda Elsinore that we had a look at during our paddock walkabout. But there's your race leader heading down to the bottom section of the track. It's still number 98 Liston Bell, and we're looking at number 125 going through there is Ian Stainton, and number 254 is John Miller riding his Honda CR250 machine. But as I said, there's so many different classes in this one race, so it's quite hard to pick out who is leading what particular class. But we're looking at Ian Stainton there on the right hand side on the Clue Stroker. But here's your race winner anyhow. It's number 98, and that's another race win for Liston Bell. Which quite nicely brings us on to race 14. This is the pre-1984s under and over 40s and the over 50s class. It looks like Keith Barnes has made another good start there on the CCM, but up there at the front, number 811 is Mark Brockhurst on the 490 Michael, and it's Keith Barnes there, number 55, in second position as these riders begin lap 1. But remember, if these are the kind of videos you like to watch here on YouTube, then maybe you'd like to consider subscribing to my channel, or maybe even just leave a remark in the comments section at the bottom of your video player, because any kind of comments, whether good or even bad, are of course very much appreciated. So as the riders cross the line to complete lap 1, it's still Mark Brockhurst, number 811, who leads number 55, Keith Barnes, on the 4-stroke CCM. So we're just picking up that particular battle here at the front between Mark Brockhurst and Keith Barnes. And you can see that Keith's certainly keeping pace with that German 2-stroke 490 Michael machine. So when you see Keith's racing this big CCM, that gives you a rough idea just how quick these old Alan Clues bikes were way back in the day, powered of course by that ancient BSA B50 4-stroke motor. So it's Mark Brockhurst, your race leader, and second place is still Keith Barnes. And just crossing the line there is number 149, that's Gavin Lowes. And I think Gavin's riding a 480 Honda Evolution machine, but this is a good scrap here at the front between Mark Brockhurst on the Michael and Keith Barnes on the 4-stroke CCM. You can see that Mark Brockhurst is certainly not getting away from Keith Barnes on the big 4-stroker. So in fact, I think Keith Barnes is looks like he's lining up a pass here, so this could be quite exciting to watch, to see if Keith can pass the power of that 2-stroke 490 Michael. But you can certainly hear the contrast and different sounds from the 490 Michael 2-stroke to that big 4-banger CCM of Mike Barnes, number 109 there. That's Colin Nelson on the 250 German Michael. But here at the front, it looks like Mark Brockhurst is still unable to shake Keith Barnes on the CCM. Keith's keeping a watching brief there, so Mark Brockhurst is certainly not pulling away from Keith Barnes, so this could still be quite a good race as we head towards the end. But as they come round to complete another racing lap, it's still Mark Brockhurst, number 811, who leads Keith Barnes, number 55. But if you're not up to much on the 7th of July, then why not get yourself down to Townfoot Farm in Thornhill, which of course will be the club's next round of their current championship. And that track at Thornhill is very similar to this one here, with its fast flowing grass and general natural up and down undulations of its landscape. So why not try and get yourself down to Thornhill on the 7th of July. So here's your race leader as he comes round to complete another lap. It's still Mark Brockhurst who leads Keith Barnes on the CCM. So this has been a cracking race here from the youngster on this 490 Michael. And just behind that battle at the front, we have another scrap going on here between this man here, number 25, that's Craig Smith on the 440 Michael, and at number 67 there, that's Mike Tweedle riding that CR250 Honda Red Rocket. But this has been a good race for Mark Brockhurst, number 811, as he heads towards the checkered flag. It looks like Keith's been unable to catch him in this particular race, but Keith Barnes is nevertheless going to cross the line and take a well-deserved second placed finish. Coming home in third place, it looks like it's going to be number 25, Craig Smith, and just behind Craig Smith there is again Mike Tweedle, number 67. So that brings us around to race 15 for the pre-1984s, which are over 58 years of age, and that's of course the rider's age and not the age of the bikes that they're riding. So as the riders leave the line, looks like John Stokes has made another cracking start. Number 151, Graham Smith, has also made a good start on the IT250 at Yamaha. So the chances are that most of the riders in this class are basically 60 or over 60 years old. So you can see that these guys, even though they're maturing in their years, are still pretty quick on these machines. So as they come round to complete lap one, it's number 151, John Stokes, your race leader. Second is David Loudon, number 75. Third is Gordon Forbes, number 19. Fourth is Paul Chiappa. Fifth is Graham Smith. Sixth is Alistair Aitken, who's also riding a 490 Maiko. But there's quite a strong wind blowing across the track, but thankfully the weather is still dry and not sunny, of course, but we're quite thankful for having a dry track. So John Stokes is coming round to complete another lap here of this track. Second position is still David Loudon. Third is Paul Chiappa there, number 2. Graham Smith is at number 233 on the IT250 Yamaha, and just behind Graham is Gordon Forbes. As we take a look at number 313, that's David Ray on that lovely Kramer LR 410 that we had a look at in our paddock walkabout. So here's a scrap at the front between John Stokes, number 151, and number 75, David Loudon on the 490 YZ Yamaha. Looks like David's meaning business in this race. He's trying his damnedest to catch that bike of John Stokes. Remember, that bike of John Stokes in front is a 250. So John Stokes absolutely riding the wheels off that bike to stay ahead of David Loudon. Number 341 going through is Alistair Aitken, and number 43 is Andy Mallock on that 250 Montesa Capra. So it's probably no surprise to see that David Loudon has now passed John Stokes. It's the YZ 490 Yamaha who's taking on the 250 Honda of John Stokes, but John Stokes doesn't appear to be finished just yet, so this is quite a good race developing here. But it's currently number 75 David Loudon on the 490 YZ Yamaha who leads John Stokes on the 250 two-stroke Honda. Looks like David Ray has got some kind of problem with the old Kramer. Looks like David's retiring from this race, so we're looking at number 341 going through there. That's Alistair Aitken from Oban on the west coast of Scotland. So Alistair's had a bit of travelling to do to get to this track, but it's still currently number 75 David Loudon, the race leader, as they come round to start their last and final lap. But John Stokes is right on the tail of David Loudon, so this has been a cracking performance from John Stokes on that smaller 250 Honda two-stroker. So we're just going to stay with these two till the checkered flag, but it's still David Loudon who's managing to keep John Stokes behind him, but as I said, it's the 490 YZ Yamaha at the front that takes on the 250 Honda of John Stokes in second position. But looks like David Loudon has more or less got this race in the bag, as long as he can negotiate these last 2 or 3 turns. So as he heads towards the checkered flag, it looks like it's going to be the first win of the day for number 75 David Loudon, but a cracking performance there from John Stokes on the 250 CR Honda. We are taking a look at number 16 as he heads towards the checkered flag. That's Mike Foster on his Honda, and he's been chased by number 781. I think that's Stephen McWhirter. Okay, that brings us back round to our next block of races for the pre-77s, under and over 40s, over 50s and 125s. And we've also got some pre-77s thrown in here as well. So as they leave the line, it's Mike McClurty once again who seems to have the whole shot. Liston Bell currently in second position. And once again, we have a combination of about 4 or 5 different classes in this one particular race. So again, it's not going to be easy to pick out who is in front in each individual class. So we'll just basically take a look at some of the riders as they make their way round. But it's still Mike McClurty, number 416, at the front of the pack, being chased by Liston Bell on the big 4-stroke Jawa. So these two continuing where they left off in the previous race, battling it out between each other. Number 29 just going through there's Derek McCauley on the 250 Bultaco Persang. Jim Allison as well, just making his way through there, number 13 on the CCM. The photographers there doing their job, taking pictures for their websites. That's Peter Greenwood there, clicking away. So as they come round to complete lap 2, it looks like Liston Bell has now managed to pass Mike McClurty. So it's the big 600cc single-cylinder Jawa who leads this man here, the little CR125 Honda. And as I said, it doesn't take these guys too long to complete a lap of this very short racetrack here at North Carnduff Farm. We're just taking a look at some of the riders making their way through. Number 125 is Ian Stainton. Number 13 there is Jim Allison on the 1974 CCM. But here's your race leader at the front. It's number 98 Liston Bell, who's coming round to start another racing lap, and it's still number 416 Mike McClurty there in second position. But it looks like there's been some kind of incident at the bottom end of the track, and it looks like this race is going to have to be stopped. It looks like Albert Britton has had some kind of spill off his machine there, so the medics just checking him over. So it looks like this is going to be a complete restart of this race. So let's get the bikes back up to the line for a complete restart of race 16. So we're just waiting on Stuart Riddle letting the bikes loose from the line. That's a good start there by number 254 John Miller on the 250 Honda. So John Miller's made an excellent start from the gate. So as they come up towards us, it's 416 Mike McClurty on the 125 Honda who leads Liston Bell. John Miller's in third. Derek McCauley's going through there in fourth position. Number 118 is Kenny Harper on the CZ. Number 14 is Brian Hamilton. Number 166 just making their way through is Alan Reid on that lovely BSA Victor. Looks like a couple of kids having fun there on their electric bike in the middle of the track, which is quite unusual. So here's your race leader as they come round to complete lap 1. It's number 416, Mike McClurty, who leads Liston Bell, but it looks like Liston's going to blast through, but no, Mike McClurty shuts that door, so it's still Mike McClurty on the little nimble 125 Honda, who is your front runner. Now, you've probably already noticed by now that all of the advertising on my YouTube channel has now been removed, so you'll be able to watch my content uninterrupted and absolutely free. So basically it's only really myself now who has to dip in his own pocket to keep my channel afloat. So here's your race leaders as they cross the line to complete another lap. It's still Liston Bell who leads number 416, Mike McClurty, but remember these two are running in different classes, so it looks like Liston Bell's got some kind of mechanical problem with the big Jawa, so that just about puts paid to Liston's race. So that just about leaves the door open now to Mike McClurty for a free run to the checkered flag. And just coming towards us, there's number 81, that's Brian Stobart, and he's been chased by number 125, that's Ian Stainton on the Clues Stroker. Number 89 again is Mike Bell on the BSA Gold Star. So we're currently looking at number 29, that's Derek McCauley from Arbroath on the east coast of Scotland on the 250 Bultaco Persang. A very quick and nimble little machine, this bike of Derek McCauley's. And I think that's Alex Martin who's chasing Derek McCauley. Number 254 just going through there is John Miller. Ian Stainton making his way past once again. But here's your race leader as they head to complete another lap. This is the final lap for Mike McClurty, number 416. So he's had quite a good day thus far here at North Carnduff Farm on this very quick little 125 Honda. Number 29 again is Derek McCauley on the Bultaco, being hounded there by number 78 Alex Martin. But as you can see, there's quite a vast contrast in machines in this combined race. I think there's about 4 or 5 different classes in this race, but here's your number one man to cross the line for yet another win. It's number 416, Mike McClurty, and it's going to be Derek McCauley and Alex Martin who are going to cross the line in second and third positions. So that brings us quite nicely to race number 17. This is the pre-1984 under and over 40s and over 50s. Looks like Craig Smith's made quite a good start there from the gate. Number 25 on the 440 black Maiko. So as they begin lap 1, it looks like it's Mark Brockhurst now who's taken that early lead. Craig Smith is currently in second position. It looks like Craig's just been passed by number 55. That's Keith Barnes on that big CCM. So this is almost a carbon copy of the first 2 places in this last race in this class. So Keith Barnes once again very quick on that Alan Clues 4-stroke machine. So this has been quite a good afternoon for this man here at the front, number 811, Mark Brockhurst on the 490 Maiko. Mark's had quite a good day here at North Carnduff Farm, and he's going well in this race at the front of the pack. Second place is still Keith Barnes, number 55 on that Alan Clues CCM. Number 334 there is Kevin Smith on his lovely, I think that's a 440 Michael. So Kevin again going very well on his Michael. Now, I'm sure you already know that the Scottish Classic Club have only got a 5-round championship this year because their first 2 race events of 2024 back in April and May were both cancelled, with their first round in April at Forfar cancelled because of the bad weather, and their second round at Lockerbie in May was due to some kind of land ownership squabble. So this first round here at North Carnduff Farm will be the first piece of motorcycle racing that the club's had in over 9 months. So we're just looking to the far side of the racetrack to pick up our race leader, and you can see it's still number 811, Mark Brockhurst, who's now got quite a decent lead over second place man Keith Barnes on the CCM. So Mark certainly looks like he's got this race in the bag, providing he doesn't drop the bike in a corner or do something really silly. But at this point in the race, he's going very well just now. Now, number 25 there is Craig Smith on the 440 Twin Shock Michael. Now, I know I've mentioned it already, but I'm packing my bags again next week to head over to Northern Ireland to cover a 2-day charity scramble event at Cecil Pearson's racetrack, where we hope to raise lots of cash for local worthwhile charities. So if you subscribe to my channel, you'll be able to see all of the bikes and all of the racing from that very worthwhile event. So number 67 just making his way through there, that's Mike Tweedle on the CR250 Honda Red Rocket. And we're taking another look at number 109, that's Colin Nelson on his 250 German Michael. So this has been a relatively comfortable race for Mark Brockhurst on the 490 Michael as he comes round to start his last and final lap of this race. So another good performance from that young rider as we take a look at number 67 again, Mike Tweedle, going very well on the 250 on the Red Rocket. Number 109 again is Colin Nelson. He gets his head down and his backside up to head down the straight to streamline that 250 so as he can get the maximum speed from the bike. But here's your race leader as he comes round to take the checkered flag. It's going to be another win for Mark Brockhurst, and it's going to be a flying Keith Barnes on the CCM, who's going to cross the line in second, just ahead of Mike Tweedle. So moving right along, we're on to race 18. This is the pre-1984s, aged over 58. So a few veterans in this particular class, but nevertheless a good lineup of bikes. So as our starter, Stuart Riddle, lets the bikes loose from the line, it looks like David Loudon's made quite a good start on the YZ Yamaha, but it looks like Paul Chiappa, number 2, has got that inside line. So as they come towards us, in fact, it looks like John Stokes is your early leader on the 250 Honda bike. So John Stokes absolutely flying here at North Carnduff Farm. So John Stokes has certainly been one of the top performers here at North Carnduff Farm this afternoon on that 250 Honda, because he's leading those bigger bikes, like say Paul Chiappa's 490 Michael there in second position, and David Loudon's 490 YZ Yamaha. Gordon Forbes has made a good start again there in fourth position. Number Number 341 just going through there is Alistair Aitken, but it looks like the veteran multiple twin shock champion Paul Chiappa is now past John Stokes for the lead of this race. So it's now 65-year-old Paul Chiappa, number 2, who is your current race leader. Paul, of course, was the owner and operator of Dunfermline Motorcycles, but has just recently retired, so it certainly gives Paul a lot more time to race and work on his bikes. Gordon Forbes just making his way through there. So it's the 490 twin shock Michael of Paul Chiappa who leads John Stokes' CR250 Honda bike. So this is still even another good performance by John Stokes to even hang with these bigger bikes. So well done to John, but it's still Paul Chiappa number 2. But as you can see, John Stokes is certainly not given up in this race. He's still on Chiappa's back wheel. Third position is still currently David Loudon, as we take a look at number 46, the Valentino Rossi of Twin Shock Racing, Gordon Forbes. And number 10 there is Gary Bucket on his quite nice looking Swedish made 250 Husqvarna, and Gary's being chased by number 37, that's David Herdman. So here's your race leader, number 2, Paul Chiappa, and as you can see, he's still very quick on these big Michael machines. John Stokes is still on Paul Chiappa's back wheel, so maybe this race is maybe not in the bag for Paul Chiappa, but it'd be quite an embarrassment if Paul was to get beaten by somebody on a 250. Number 741 just going through, or 791, I think that's Stephen McWhirter just going through there on his 1980 Michael. But it's still the man from Dunfermline in Fife, your race leader Paul Chiappa, number 2, and she comes round to begin his last and final lap of this race. But John Stokes is still on his back wheel, so we may yet see a change of leader on this last lap. There's your current third placed man, David Loudon, number 75. So Paul Chiappa certainly on his way to another win here at North Carnduff Farm as he begins his last lap. But it certainly doesn't look like John Stokes is going to get close enough to make some kind of pass on Paul Chiappa's track position. So it looks like this is going to be a comfortable cruise to the finish line for number 2 Paul Chiappa. But John Stokes is still going to take a very well-deserved runner-up position, and this man here, number 75, David Loudon, is going to be the last man to stand on that third step of the podium. Right, so moving right along, that brings us on to race 19, and this is the big class again for the pre-77s, under and over 40s and over 50s, and 125s, including some pre-1977s as well, just for good measure. So a bit of jostling as they leave the line, but it's that man once again, Mike McClurty on that little 125 Honda, who's showing the rest of the bikes the way around the track as we take a look at number 81 there. That's Brian Stobart on his 250 Honda. But as I said, there's at least 4 different classes in this race, so I'm not going to pick out individual riders for individual classes. We'll just take a look at some of the riders as they make their way around. But it's still Mike McClurty there, number 416 at the head of the pack. Number 81 is Brian Stobart. Looks like John Miller's just making his way through Number 125 is Ian Stainton on the Clues Stroker. Number 118 is Kenny Harper on the CZ. Gillian Newry is making her way through there on that very quick Can-Am. But once again, this man has certainly been one of the stars of the show here at this round one event, because I think he's won almost every race that he's taken part in. So another good performance here from number 416, Mike McClarty. Number 78 is Alex Martin. Number 254 is John Miller. Number 13 going through there is Jim Allison on the 74 CCM. That's Kenny Harper just going through there, number 118. Gillian Newry just going past there on the Can-Am once again. And you can just see how quick this little 125 Honda is, because here's Mike McClarty coming round to take another racing lap. So this is a quick lap on this little 125. Ian Stainton just going through. John Miller on his 250. Number 13 again is Jim Allison. Number 29 is Derek Macaulay on the Bultaco. Number 118 is Kenny Harper on the CZ. Gillian Newry just going through there. Number 154 on her Can-Am 250. But it's still fast and furious at the front here from this man, number 416, Mike McClarty, as he comes round to start his last and final lap of this race. So another cracking performance from that very talented rider. Just coming towards us there is Alex Martin, just making his way through. Derek Macaulay is just in front of Jim Allison there, number 13 on that 1974 CCM. Number 57 is Martin Jackson, who's just gone through on his little Suzuki. But here's your race leader as he cruises to yet another win and to take the checkered flag once again. So a big well done again to number 416, Mike McClarty. Number 81 looks like he's going to cross the line in second. That's another good result for Brian Stobart. Which now brings us on to the penultimate race of the day. This is race 20 for the pre-1984 under and over 40s, including the over 50s. Not a big lineup of bikes, as you can see, but nevertheless enough to make a race of it. Craig Smith's made quite a good start again there in second position, number 25 on the 440 Michael, but it's Keith Barnes who has now got the lead on the big CCM. So Keith's been really quick here this afternoon and currently leading this race. But I must say it's great to see these older CCMs back racing once again. These were absolutely fantastic bikes in the 1970s when they were being ridden by the likes of John Banks and big Bob Wright. So Keith's certainly given you an idea of just what it was like to see these bikes racing away back in the day. Second position is number 25, Craig Smith on the 440 black Michael. But these CCM bikes, of course, were the brainchild of the great Alan Clues, who bought over all of the competition department of the BSA way back in the early 1970s, and he went on to build these fantastic four-stroke racers that were based around the old BSA B50 four-stroke engine. And what a fantastic machine Alan Clues built. But Keith's dad as well, of course, was a legendary CCM rider back in the day, and Keith's dad was one of the first ever customers of one of Alan Clues's stroker machines that he built before he started building these CCM bikes. So Mike Barnes is also a legend on these four-stroke machines. But Keith Barnes going very well here in first position. Craig Smith is still in second. Looks like Mike Tweedle is currently in third on his 250 two-stroke Red Rocket. And Alan Clues also, of course, went on to build more CCM models during the 1980s and 1990s, where at that time he started using four-stroke Rotax engines inside the CCM frames. But it's still good to see one of these old B50 motors still take to the racetrack. Craig Smith is currently still in second place, but he appears to be closing in on Keith Barnes, so Keith's got a bit of work to do yet to keep Craig Smith behind him, because he's now beginning his last and final lap, so you'll have to watch his back in case Craig Smith tries to be brave and pass him on this last lap. But he's currently still in front of Craig Smith, and Craig Smith is still recovering from an injury sustained a couple of weeks ago, so I don't think Craig's 100% fit, but nevertheless he's still going very well here. So just a 2 or 3 turns to go to the checkered flag, and it looks like Keith's going to manage to hold on to the win, so a very well deserved first place finish for Keith Barnes on that CCM. So that brings us around to our very last race of the afternoon. This is race 21 for the pre-1984s over aged 58 years. So this will be our final race of the day, and I do hope you've enjoyed all of the bikes that we featured from around the paddock, and of course all of these racing highlights as well. So as the riders leave the line, Paul Chiappa's made another good start, but I think it's John Stokes again on that 250 Honda who has the whole shot. So these bigger bikes are certainly not getting the better of John Stokes' 250, because he's still hanging with these bigger bikes, which are more than just about twice the CCs of his little Honda. Oh, Jesus. And the curse of the commentators have struck once again, because John Stokes has just dropped his bike into the corner, and he's certainly lost a few places, so we'll have to keep our eye on John to see if he can make up some of those lost places. But I hope you're watching this footage here on your big screen TV at home, because I always think that that's the best way to look at this racing footage. It's okay to watch it on your phone and maybe on your tablet, but you certainly can't beat the big screen with a good sound bar to watch this kind of racing footage. But here's your race leader. It's still Paul Chiappa at number 2 on the 490 Michael, who leads this man here, number 75 David Loudon on the YZ 490 Yamaha. Number 37 there on the white bike, just coming towards us, is David Herdman, and just behind David is number 154, one of the lady riders that are racing here today. That's Gillian Muri, but John Stokes appears to be up and running again, so we'll certainly keep our eye on John's progress. So it's number 75 David Loudon in second position. David, of course, one of the club members who helped out by constructing this track, so well done to yourself, David, for helping out. I'm sure he knows this track outside in. Number 456 just making his way through is Chris Kirkbride on his 1983 250 RM Suzuki. There's number 151, John Stokes. So John certainly made up a few places since he dropped his bike into that corner. So it's still number 2, Paul Chiappa, your race leader. As I said before, this guy here has over 50 years of experience riding these kind of off-road motorcycles. I think Paul started racing when he was about 9 or 10 year old with the Scottish Formula Bantam Club. So this man here has got a wealth of experience in off-road racing. Number 75 is still David Loudon in second position. Number 4, 5, 6, Chris Kirkbride once again. I think Chris could possibly even be in third spot, but it looks like John Stokes is now moved up to fourth. So John certainly got a move on since he dropped his bike into that corner. Number 154 is Gillian Urie on her 250 Can-Am. So here he comes again. It's Paul Chiappa, number 2, who's coming round to start his last and final lap of this race. David Loudon looks like he's possibly closing in on Paul Chiappa. So there's your race leader at the front there, Paul Chiappa, number 2, heading for the checkered flag. And I don't think David Loudon is going to be close enough to make a challenge in these last few turns of this race, but another very dominant performance from this veteran racer. So just a couple of more turns to go. So it's a win for number 2, Paul Chiappa, and it looks like it's going to be David Loudon who's going to cross the line in that coveted second position. Well, there you have it. That just about wraps up everything that went down on the day over the course of all of the racing from this round 1 event here at North Carnduff Farm. And I do hope you've enjoyed all of the bikes from around the paddock and all of that racing footage. But coming up next here on CDB TV, we'll be packing our bags once again because we're heading off to that 2-day charity event in Northern Ireland next week. So there's not a lot of time to get things done before we do our next visit to Northern Ireland. But I do hope you will join me for all of the bikes and the racing from that event when we eventually make the trip. But from all of us here at North Carnduff Farm, it's thanks for watching and goodbye for now.